I'm looking forward to this one because normally when I put out content around firewall landscape, it tends to get quite competitive and engaging response. Let's say that. So Cisco Secure Firewall. Cisco. This is kind of where they cut their teeth in the security market many moons ago with originally the PIX firewalls, then on to ASA, and then on to Cisco Secure Firewall, or Firepower Threat Defense, as it was known, following the acquisition of SourceFire, and that's when we started to integrate the Firepower modules. Now, I'm one of the first ones to hold my hand up. The experience when the newer Firepower devices were released, it wasn't great. I went through those frustrations of setting up those modules. They were clunky, they were buggy. That put a lot of people off of Cisco Secure Firewall, and luckily, those customers are starting to come back to Cisco Secure Firewall, because it's a very different experience. It's taken quite a long time to repair that kind of reputation in the firewall space, but the kind of feeling now is very positive towards the firewalls, which is great. So when it comes to the models, there's quite a kind of broad range, starting down at the 1000 series range, which are predominantly for what you'd kind of refer to as branch locations. They've got a 1010 model, which would be perfect for a home lab environment or very small business. They've just released a 1200 series, which is something that I'll come on to in a second. We can go right up through to the 4000, 9000 series ranges when we're looking at kind of centralized data center, internet edge, or even down to service provider level. So they've got they can fit the entire kind of range of the market. Next thing I want to come on to is the chipset architecture, because in my eyes, this has been a real kind of game changer for Cisco Secure Firewall. Probably with the releases that we've seen in the last 12 months, 3100s, and I want to focus kind of specifically on those 1200 series ranges we're starting to see coming out as well now. The performance of those is, off the charts. It's fantastic. So they came up with this new kind of sock and ARM chipset architecture that I did a post about probably a couple of weeks ago now. I'll put a link to that in the comments down below. But essentially, what we're finding is that with this new architecture, the throughput capabilities are astronomical. It's really high performance. The number of VPN peers we can have is very high as well. And let's not forget now, with it's kind of 7.4 onwards really in the software versions, Cisco Secure Firewall is an SD-WAN solution. So if you're looking at Meraki or Forti, etc., for those kind of lower cost SD-WAN options or a SASE architecture, well, now a really viable conversation is Cisco Secure Firewall. We were pricing this up for a customer the other day, and we couldn't believe how commercially appealing it was. The 1200s fit, a vast amount of customer use cases, and you already get that SD-WAN functionality built into it, and it's not an additional license cost. So really impressive. Management-wise, you've got a couple of different options. You can go what they call FDM, which is the onboard, kind of management capability. It's very restrictive. This is literally for that kind of little independent organization that need a really kind of basic configuration, or a home lab environment. In reality, any kind of business is going to be running this on something called Firepower Management Center. You can have that on-prem if you have to for compliance reasons. A much better fit in my eyes is cloud delivered. So they have CDFMC, as they call it. Again, I've harped on before about security cloud control. That is the rebranded version of CDO. This is where I think customers are going to see huge value in Cisco Secure Firewall and how it integrates with the rest of the security stack. Main part of that being that, you've got one place to manage all your policies, all your devices for, like you would have with Meraki and like you get with, Palo and Forti as well. But for me, one of the differentiators is the AI usage in security cloud control, and specifically around cloud delivered FMC. The AI assistant that we can have Cisco Secure Firewall is really valuable, because not only does it look at how you've deployed your devices, it'll analyze the different objects and policies you've got to make sure that they're being deployed in the most efficient way, whether you've got kind of conflicting policies, overlapping policies, and it'll make recommendations on how to tune those. But it'll also look at device trends. So if you've got a specific device that is consistently at high CPU utilization, it will help you forecast any potential issues you may have on the hardware side of things. So really, really cool. Licensing wise, really basic. There's a couple of different that customers can kind of opt for. In my eyes, the bare minimum you'll want is threat defense and malware licensing, because that's going to include all your kind of signature database updates and your kind of real-time threat intelligence feed from Talos. So why would you not want those? You can add on URL filtering as a capability with the licensing. To be honest, it's very kind of rare I see that with customers nowadays, because to be honest, most are moving towards a SASE architecture. So they'll be using something like Cisco Secure Access in conjunction with the SD-WAN functionality of the Cisco Secure firewalls. So that's pretty much it. Last piece from me is Cisco. If you've got a 1010 lying around that you'd like to let me have for my home lab, that would be brilliant. Any questions at all, please feel free to drop me a message. Thank you.